Cartethiya has been revealed. Let's talk about her. My name is Juice, and let's get into it. Oh my goodness gracious, we have finally gotten the drip marketing for Cartethiya. And not just Cartethiya, it seems. Fleurdelys seems to be chilling in the same image, which makes me very, very curious. Because now I'm wondering, are we going to be getting a 2-in-1 situation? If you get Cartethiya, are you going to get Fleurdelys as well? Okay, 2.2 story spoilers in 3, 2, 1. Alright, so, you see, I did not think that Fleurdelys was going to be playable because, at least as far as I know, I'm pretty sure she is no longer a part of Cartethiya. At least, the way I saw it was that they were sort of two sides that made one whole, but now Fleurdelys, that side has been lost, and now we're only left with Cartethiya. At least, that was my assumption. Okay, so story spoilers over. Now with that being said, it makes me very curious as to why Fleurdelys is here, and it seems like she is sharing equally as much spotlight as Cartethiya, so I'm starting to think it's a 2-in-1 deal. I'm not particularly sure, but either way, I really like Cartethiya. I thought her story was just absolutely incredible. The ending of it, wow. Now that was an ending. The cutscene and everything, the music, her theme song, just the whole thing all together, it was wild. Really, really awesome. I loved it. So I do want this character. I am looking forward to her. Of course, the artwork as always is looking absolutely beautiful. You can see the sentinel in the back there. Just looks absolutely majestic. I will say, that does open the door to some future creativity if they are indeed a 2-in-1 deal, because it means that maybe we'll get more form changes like this in the future. And honestly, I would really like this to be the case. I think that Fleurdelys looks absolutely incredible. Design-wise, I actually prefer her over Cartethiya. I think the longer hair and just the horn and all that, it just looks great. Though I love both, of course. So the fact that we might have the chance to play her, that makes me pretty excited. Granted, I don't actually know if it's going to be the case or not, we'll just have to wait and see. But the art definitely did its job at getting me to think, that's for sure. I do feel like Kuro has been improving their story writing quite a lot every patch that's went on. And I feel like Cartethiya's story is a pretty good representation of that. Now granted, Kuro themselves did say that 2.2 was not the end of Cartethiya's story, there is still more for us to discover about her, so maybe we're gonna see Fleurdelys come back that way, but I personally don't expect it. I think it's more just going to be there for kit flair, and also just for people that kind of prefer the design, but I will say, it's very unique and I like the idea. Now the major thing, she is a freaking Sentinel Resonator. I mean, at least that's what I picked up when I did the quest. She seems to be the Sentinel Resonator. Now the last time we got one of these characters was Jinchi, and goodness me was she powerful on release. And even to this day, she's still a very good character. Now is she still the best DPS in the game? In my opinion, no. I feel like the bar has been raised a little bit with the Renacita DPSs, such as Carlotta, Zani with her best team, etc, etc. I would say those are better than Jinchi these days, but she's still extremely competitive. And for quite some time, the Jinjo Magistrate was uncontested, and she was just the definitive best character in the game. It's only in 2.0 where that started being challenged. So with that being said, I do expect Cartethiya to be probably a cut above the rest. I don't know if that's going to be the case or not, but judging by the fact that she's one of the main characters of Renacita, and she is the Sentinel Resonator, I think that checks out. Something else interesting that I'd like to point out since Jinchi's release. You see, Jinchi came out in a time where there was only the Tower of Adversity. Now we have Whimpering Wastes as well. Which does make me wonder if we're going to be designing Cartethiya with all game modes in mind. I mean, I assume they would, because she's the Sentinel freaking Resonator. But with that being said, Kuro has never been super crazy about their power creep. In fact, I would say they've been relatively fair about it up until this point. So I don't think that they're suddenly going to release a character that's just like, whoa, they absolutely obliterate the rest of the game. Yes, Jinchi did feel like that, but remember that Jinchi came out in 1.1. We did not have a very large cast of characters back then, so naturally, any broken DPS that came out at the time was going to feel busted. Now with that being said, Jinchi was indeed crazy, like she was absolutely insane. I'm not trying to undersell how crazy she was at the time, and she absolutely did make a huge meta splash when she first came out. But I do think that we can accredit at least a little bit of that insanity to the fact that we had a very small roster at the time, so competition was not exactly dense. Whereas nowadays, we have a much larger cast of characters. Besides, even if Cartethiya did end up being the new strongest character in the game, we don't even know what she does yet. We don't know if she's a DPS, we don't know if she's a support, we don't know if she's even a freaking healer, which might sound underwhelming, but then you consider the insane meta prowess of Shorekeeper. You get the idea, we really don't know what direction they're going to be taking the kits in. I mean, considering that she might have 2 playable forms, There is the chance of them maybe splitting playstyles, like one form is going to have this playstyle, the other one is going to have this one, like one's a healer and the other's a damage dealer, or one's a support, or the other one's a support. Or maybe they're going to have it where one is going to support the other's rotation. I don't really know how we're going to handle this. I mean, shoot, dude, it's 2 characters in one. I will say what I do wish for, if it does end up being the case that they're both in the same kit, I hope we can personally choose which one we get to run around with in the overworld, and it's not going to be, like, based on a forte timer, or based on, like, a skill timer, and that if we want to be Fleurdelys for 6 hours in a row, we can be Fleurdelys for 6 hours in a row, gosh dang it. And of course the other way around if you're more of a Cartethiya fan. I just think it will be neat. Back to talking about Sentinel Resonators for a moment. You see, I'm not sure if we're going to want to make another DPS Sentinel Resonator, because we already have one in Jinchi. Unlike I said before, to this day, Jinchi is still a very good carry. Now if they were to make Cartethiya a DPS, at least in my personal opinion, the way that I would handle it, I would want her to be the strongest, that makes sense, but I wouldn't want her to completely obliterate the entire game. I would want her to be at least a good chunk better, maybe, than the current best teams, but not by so much to the point where with good gameplay and good skill, the other teams can't catch up to that in any way, shape, or form. I'm really starting to overcomplicate it here. I think the word I'm looking for is balanced. I want Cartethiya to be balanced. Of course, it's very exciting to get a new Sentinel Resonator. We can pretty much be assured that she's going to be very good because of that, but I hope that Kuro Games keeps the brokenness within reason somewhat. But either way, I'm definitely excited for her, however she ends up turning out, whatever role she ends up being, I definitely do want her. Now I would like to point out, during her questline, we unlock Arrow Rover. This leads me to wonder if Rover is going to play a part in her teams at all. I mean, I think I can see it checking out. You see, the thing is though, if I was personally in charge of Cartethiya's kit, I would want to make her a support, because I just think it would be cool to have Sentinel Resonators of different classes, if you know what I mean, different sort of character classes. Like, you have Jinchi the DPS, and then Cartethiya the damage support, and that sort of thing. But I think likely is that she's probably gonna end up as a main damage dealer. That wouldn't disappoint me at all, I would still be very excited for her, but personally, I just hope that if she is a damage dealer of a next Sentinel Resonator that we can get after this would be a support or something else. I would like to point out that the main echo you get whenever you beat Fleurdelys provides you with arrow bonus and arrow damage, so I feel like that does point towards her doing some degree of damage. As for my personal pulling plans, I'm probably just gonna settle for a copy of her and her weapon. I don't really feel any desire to go and get anything beyond that. I mean, maybe I'll buy a sequence note or 2 from the shop if I have the corals to do so at the time, because honestly, I've been wasting a lot of corals on pulls. It's only recently that I've started to actually save them for sequence nodes, so I do have a little bit in my back pocket, and as those accumulate over time, perhaps I'll consider a Cartethiya sequence or 2. Another exciting thing about Cartethiya's reveal is actually the future that comes after her, because we are once again in a situation where we don't really know what to expect out of the future. We've kind of covered all the main Rinascita characters so far. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but out of the officially revealed playable cast, Cartethiya is pretty much the last one that we're aware of that is definitely going to be playable. So I suppose we're going to be stepping into the unknown from here on out. But focusing on Cartethiya more specifically, I really do look forward to finding out more. I seriously don't know what to expect out of her animations or just out of what she's going to do at all. I mean, the main thing we can infer from the echo that's in-game already is that she might have something to do with arrow damage, but otherwise, I think that basically everybody is just as left in the dark as I am. And you know what? That's actually pretty exciting. I'm into that. I think it's cool that we're all just kind of sitting here wondering, what the heck is this character going to do? I assume that the conclusion of her story is most likely going to wrap up the end of all of Rinascita. It's going to be sort of the big conclusion as to what's going to happen to the nation from here on out. I think it's pretty good that we're going to be getting another major act, as I feel like there are still some loose ends to be tied up. I will say 2.2 did feel quite conclusive to me, but a lot of people did point out it still feels like there are some other loose ends that we can go and, you know, fix up. And then when that's done, we can move on and go to wherever else the rover wishes to go. I know some people have been concerned recently with how Zani's kit has been handled, feeling like she was way too reliant on Phoebe in order to reach her max potential, and all that jazz. This is just my personal opinion, there's no real telling what Kuro is going to do, but I don't think they're going to make Cartethiya as restrictive as Zani is, and besides, Zani's free-to-play teams are perfectly serviceable, and you'll clear just fine with them. But with that being said, consider Jinchi. She has a really decent free-to-play option in Yuan Wu, and she also has Yinlin, and then she also has Joja, and more recently Cantarella. I personally believe at Sentinel Resonators, they're always going to be given the most attention, the most treatment over time, and they're always going to gain new synergies the quickest. So unless she ends up having a really oddly specific kit that really locks her out of using other teammates, I'm pretty sure that Kuro is going to find a way to make whatever her insane ability is accessible to pretty much anybody that picks her up. Now, with that being said, I'm very excited for this unit. I think she looks great, or I think they both look great. I suppose I should specify that. And I'm also wondering if the Sentinel Resonator himself, I mean, we know what happened to him if you play the story, but I'm wondering if he himself is actually going to be a part of the animations or not, considering that WuWa is a part of Jinshi's animations, but I don't know. We're just gonna have to wait and see. There is a lot of unanswered nonsense about this character. Nevertheless, that makes her more exciting in my opinion. But what about you? Are you looking forward to either one of these Cartethiyas? What are your personal hopes for this character? Let me know down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. As always, I have a ZZZ second channel. Head on over and subscribe if you're interested in some fun, silly ZZ content. I'd also like to mention that I stream on Twitch. I stream once a week every week on Saturday, starting off from 3 PM UK time. Come along so we can play Wuthering Waves, ZZ, and do some other fun stuff together. Hopefully this video was able to tell you what I personally think about Cartethiya's reveal. This has been Juice, signing out. And you know what? Close enough. Welcome back, Zelda.